Thanks so much for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. My name is Vanessa, and if you're watching this video, that means you are interested in improving your financial situation. This is a great place to start. And I think that you're going to enjoy the journey, and I know you're in great hands. So, the purpose of this video is to talk about starting and finishing. We're going to start somewhere. We're all someplace along our financial journey. And we're going to talk about one or two goals that we can set to finish. We are going to start to shift and we are going to start to stash. All right. Those are the two things that we're going to be covering today. This is going to be covering the ABCs from start to finish. This is all about change. All about change. Work with me. I'm trying to make the ABC work, okay? So this is a preview or a freeview of the full 1 month boot camp, which consists of 4 weeks of talking about finances. Today, I'm hoping to maybe help teach you something new. Maybe you never heard of some of the things that I'm sharing before. Or maybe I am helping to bring to your remembrance something that you forgot. You learned it, but there's a reason there's a TV show, Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? We've all forgotten so many things that we've learned over the years. And some of the information I'm sharing today very well may be something you've been exposed to, but you forgot. So hopefully I'll help you jog your memory, okay? Or maybe you learned it, you never forgot it, but maybe that fire in you, maybe that focus that you once had has kind of waned a little bit. Died down a little bit, excuse me, and this will help rekindle your desire, your fire, your focus to be financially stable. So let's start to shift. That's our first objective today. Let's start to shift. I want to focus on moving your mindset because we can talk about finances all day long, but if your mind isn't right, all you're going to do is talk about it. And there will be no action. There'll be nothing different days from now, weeks from now, months from now, years from now. You'll still be in the same place. So it's so important to not just have a desire, but to make it a point of identifying how you can do things differently, how you can look at things differently, how you can approach things differently. They say that the definition of insanity is doing the same exact thing and expecting different results. And I don't know about you, but as for me, on my financial journey, I've learned so much. And it's like I kind of had stuff going one side of my head, and it's not like I had a whole hole on the other side, but taking it, applying it, making sure that I was diligent, disciplined to apply what I've learned, I wasn't so great at that in my life. And I can only speak for myself. Maybe you see some of that in you. Maybe for whatever reason, you're experiencing some difficulty. Let's be honest. We're in the middle of a pandemic. Maybe some of the things that are happening in society are affecting you, your household, your finances in a way that you never envisioned. And you realize something's got to change. And I said this is all about change. So something's got to change. We're almost a year into this pandemic. If you listen to the news, some of the experts are saying this is the end of 2020 when I'm recording this, but some of the experts are saying it won't be till the middle of 2021, maybe the third quarter of 2021, till things really start shifting. So this is pretty scary. Who knows if there's going to be another stimulus package or not, but it's time to maybe take some of this on ourselves and make it a point of changing our own situation, not waiting for someone to come out and change the situation around us for us, right? So let's talk about moving our mindset. Again, you can't keep doing the same thing and expecting something different. So first and foremost, I think it's important to realize that you're not a bad person. I'm not a bad person. But perhaps, well, not for you, but for me, I know I've made some poor decisions. there were some problems with the way that I approached my finances. And I had to take the time to identify the enemy within me. I had to recognize that there was a doubter in me, that there was some kind of a hater in me, right? Maybe my confidence wasn't as high. Maybe I just didn't believe in myself. Or for whatever reason, there was some self destructive behavior that I participated in. Can you think of some times we're talking about moving your mindset? Can you think of maybe 2 or 3 times that you doubted yourself? Can you think of 2 or 3 times or arguments that you typically give to yourself to not bother to try? Why you might give up, or why, when you don't find success when you started something, that it's not your fault. So, for instance, I can tell you, I've definitely struggled with confidence. And I said, Vanessa, you don't have the skills necessary. Vanessa, you're not bright enough. You're not well equipped enough. Vanessa, you don't make enough money to really make a difference in, or a big dent in the finances and that big old pile of debt that you made for yourself. So why bother trying? Right? Or even when I get up enough confidence to maybe try again, I've told myself, hey, you remember that last time when you tried and you failed? Why are you bothering to do it again? And I might start and then I stop, start and then I stop. To be quite honest, that those are some of the things that those are some of the demons I've had to deal with, to be quite honest. So I could have responded differently when I heard these negative voices in my head. I have to move my mindset. Yeah, maybe I tried before and I failed, but it's okay. I have to take the time, and you have to take the time to picture how life would be so different if we'd taken the scarier path, that path that's less traveled, the path with more uncertain outcomes, the path that maybe, let's talk about it, and during the course we'll go into more depth, but the path that other people aren't bothering to travel. If you're moving your mindset and no one in your circle is, you're going to start to look different. You're going to start to act different. And that means you're going to stick out. And that means you're going to be a place that is uncomfortable. And you may find yourself needing to explain yourself to your friends or not. But it's up to you. Sometimes when you are doing something different, you can't always find people to go on that road with you. But if you know in your heart, if you know in your head what you're making, what decision you're making is right for you, sometimes you just got to go for it. So here's the deal. Let's keep talking about moving our mindset and come up with some counter arguments. We started talking about arguments that we have against ourselves, the enemy within us. Sometimes when we threw some shade, when we threw some doubt on ourselves, and we're not as far as we could be in life because we listen to those small negative voices that are talking in our ear. Can you stop? Make a decision now. Move your mindset. Adjust your actions. And aspire to change your reactions. Can you think of maybe some counter arguments when you hear that little negative voice on your shoulder talking? Can you think about some things like, I'm going to seek the opinion of somebody whose opinion I respect. But when they say something that I don't like, I'll take the time to accept constructive criticism and feedback that is intended only to help me and not to hurt me. Maybe when you hear that negative voice that's saying, oh, why are you bothering? You're never going to be successful. Maybe you can come up with a counter argument. You know what? I know I didn't do it right the first time, but I can do this. I can do this with persistence and effort. And where I didn't have that focus before, I'm going to get focused and I'm going to stay focused and I'm going to hold on to that focus and that discipline. We're going to get into discipline more when we talk about the full boot camp. but this is just a little bit of a preview, remember. Um, Maybe because we're talking about moving our mindsets and changing our behavior and our habits in terms of money, we won't always find success immediately. We won't always be perfect the first time around. There'll be a few mistakes, let me tell you. But guess what? Skills that are mastered are not perfected overnight. Um, okay, I'm not really a sports person, but my husband was just talking about Michael Jordan's video on how he got to where he was. And it's so interesting when we look at stars like this or people that just look like they just shine naturally and they're just so talented, we assume that it's all about what they were born with. But no, you don't see the blood, the sweat, the tears, the mistakes that have been made along the path in order to reach that level of greatness that everyone stands back and awes and wonders at. So guess what? If you decide to move your mindset and try something new, try something uncomfortable, try to change your behavior when it comes to money and finances, and maybe you mess up and you splurge in one area, or maybe you don't set aside as much money as you said you would one week. Guess what? You'll have another opportunity to make up for it. Okay. So it's okay to make mistakes. And don't expect perfection overnight. The moral of the story is we're moving our mindset. We're coming up with counter arguments. We are setting ourselves up to come against that negative voice in our head, that negative script that we hear on our shoulders, that we hear playing in our head. You have to commit to approaching things differently, number one, and seeing them through till the end, number two. All right. So I've asked you to think of some negative scripts that have played in your head, and I'm going to keep talking, but this is some homework for you. I need you to take the time to write down some of the negative scripts. Take the time to pause and reflect on some of the negative things that you've heard, maybe from yourself, but it could be from people in your circle. Not for nothing. Maybe you want to consider who's in your circle or how much you allow what they say to filter into you and what you really believe. So we're writing down 2 or 3 arguments, but we're also going to write down 2 or 3 counter arguments, all right? That you can rehearse, that you can speak out loud. Maybe you want to hang it up by your mirror. Maybe you want to hang it up, I don't know, on the dashboard in your car. Maybe you want to make it the background on your phone, right? There's so many different ways that we can constantly remind ourselves of good, constantly remind ourselves of the different way that we're trying to approach things. So we are trying to reframe and replace our old mindsets. All right. So that was part 1. I said we're going to be doing 2 things. We're going to be talking about going from start to finish. We said we're going to start to shift. So we're moving our mindset. We are shifting, but we're also going to talk about starting to stack our money, right? Excuse me. So let's talk about it. I know we don't like to talk about it for whatever reason. I don't know why. Let's talk about money. How much money you have? How much money do you have? How much money do you have in your bank account? How much money do you have stashed away, aka your rainy day fund, your emergency fund? How much do you have? Here's a great question. And I think it's so real with this pandemic because so many people had to deal with this reality. How long could you last and meet all of your financial obligations if you lost your job today? If you didn't get another check from your employer? Could you pay all of your bills for this month? Could you pay all of your bills for this month and next month? What about 3 months, right? A whole quarter of the year. What about 6 months? Could you last a whole year? When you stop and think about it, that might be a little scary. And that might be the reality you're living in, which very well may be why you're even listening to this video presentation now. So we're going to talk about in detail how to save money, how to stack money. But I wanted to walk through a little exercise with you. Excuse me, and just give you a very brief goal. Maybe you want to try to get $500 to $1,000 in your savings account for the little emergencies that always pop up in life. It's crazy, right? We are in the middle of a pandemic. I am working from home, and so is my husband. And I literally pulled out of our driveway to go grab a lunch in my city, at a shop in my city. And as I turn the light, I can see the store where I'm going to get my food from. As I turn the light, I said, "Ooh, my car is driving a little funny. Let me pull over on the side of the road and not pull into the driveway." I've broken down enough times. My car has broken down enough times. Not this one, but I have a few years on the road to know that maybe something's not right. Don't you know my tire burst? I blew a tire going from my driveway to go pick up my lunch. And of course, that was an emergency. And we're talking about our stash, having a rainy day fund. And of course, my tires cost almost $500 to get done. I don't want to lie. Maybe it was like $300, whatever. Moral of the story is, do you have it? Or is that something you would have had to charge? Thank goodness I had the money, but that wasn't always the case. There were several times I've broken down and I'm like, oh God, I was doing so good with paying down my credit card balance and now I got to swipe again. The goal is to not have to always swipe when we have these little things, because life is always going to throw us little curveballs here, little curveballs there, right? So I want to walk through one little exercise with you. Of course, you want to have $500 to $1,000 saved. And again, this is not the full boot camp. So I'm going to go into a lot of details on how to achieve that goal, no matter how much money you're earning now. It doesn't matter what you do for a living. You could earn whatever dollars per hour. I have a few tricks up my sleeves to go help you, regardless of where you are in life. But let me try and share this tab with you and walk with you through a hypothetical savings goal worksheet. Okay. So we are going to start stashing our money. We're going to start stacking our money. So here's a quick worksheet on how to do that. Oh, shooty. Google Chrome. Let's share. Okay. So I'm sharing my savings goal worksheet with you. And this is just 5 quick steps on how to determine what our savings goal should be. So step number 1, we have to figure out our starting point. Where are you financially? I asked that when I started this part of this discussion. How much do you currently have saved liquid? And when I say liquid, this is money that you can get your hands on today or maybe the next business day. And you can enter an approximate amount. What I did is I put in a hypothetical amount of $250 because statistics show a lot of people don't have $500 to $1,000 saved. So if you're looking to start saving your money, you need to determine how many months worth of savings do you want. I asked you, if you lost your job today or tomorrow, how long could you last? If you can't even last a whole month, we got to work on that. But maybe let's start with something kind of small, like 3 months. The ideal expert says you should try to save 6 to 8 months worth of living expenses. But let's start somewhere. Let's start small and say we want 3 months of living expenses. And of course, you need to determine how much you make per month. Maybe you make $3,000 per month. Again, I filled in this worksheet, and this is kind of hypothetical. So if I want to save $3,000 per month times 3 months, and of course, this is maybe $3,000. Maybe you don't need to get your hair done when you don't have your job. Maybe you don't need to go shopping and get your nails done and do this and go out with your friends and go out to eat with your family and all the extras that you may find money in your budget to do when you have a job. This is maybe $3,000 bare bones, right? But $3,000 per month times 3 months means that my goal is to save a total of $9,000. That sounds like a lot of money, right? But how long am I going to give myself to save the $9,000? So step 3 is, what time frame am I working with? Maybe I want to give myself 6 months to save the $9,000. So let's take, for step 4, the difference between what we have in our savings account and the goal that we set for ourselves. So we're going to take the $9,000 goal and subtract the $250 that we hypothetically have in our account. And that means that we need to save $8,750. Okay? $8,750. You don't have to do this down to the nearest penny, but just a good ballpark figure. And then what we have to do is figure out, well, if I want to save $8,750 in 6 months, $8,750 in 6 months, well, I need to divide that up. And that means I need to save approximately $1,458.33 per month for 6 months. So I need to save about $1,450, $1,460 per month for 6 months. So it's not forever, but it's a significant amount of money that needs to be saved. So I just stopped sharing my screen. I just wanted to share with you just a little brief workup of how you could do that and set up maybe just a piece of paper, grab a notebook or something like that and write all that out. Of course, there are techniques that and suggestions I have on how you can save $1,458, because I mean, in that scenario, you're literally earning about almost half of your income, right? And maybe that's an aggressive goal. Maybe you can make it. Maybe that's a counter argument that you need to work on coming up with. Stop saying that you can't. You'd be surprised what you can do when you're motivated. Okay? So I hope that this has been somewhat helpful to you. Again, the goal was to teach you something new, to remind you of something that you forgot, maybe expose you to something and help jog your memory, or even just rekindle that fire and that focus that you had. If you haven't yet, there'll be an opportunity to sign up for the full boot camp. Again, the full boot camp is 4 weeks, and we are going to be talking about discipline. We are going to be talking about mindset a little bit more. We'll be talking about savings. We'll be talking about debt reduction. So these are things that we definitely need to talk about, because just because my mind shifted, I need to connect my mind to my body. Just because my mind shifted, I need some techniques to help fill in the blanks to get me from where I'm starting. Remember, we talked about start to finish. So talk about from where I'm starting to where I'm finishing. Well, it's been a pleasure. And again, make sure that you should click on that link so that I can see you during the boot camp. I really do hope this has been a blessing. Thank you and take care.